Today, we're going to cover the drawing properties that are available for you to use on the takeoff screen. The first property that we're going to work with is the auto pan. Now right now you'll notice auto pan is turned off, and so as I zoom into my image, as I move my mouse close to the edge of the takeoff, the screen will not move. However, if I am drawing, we are still going to allow that image to pan for you, so that way you can still see everything and be able to take off the entire takeoff. However, if you want auto pan to work when you're not drawing, simply turn it on, and as you move your mouse close to the edge of the takeoff, it will automatically start to pan for you. The next drawing property that we're going to use and go over is the grid. If you want to use grid, the first thing you'll do is click the arrow drop down. You'll click display, and then you'll want to type in the inch increment for the grid paper that you're wanting to create. So in this case, if we wanted to create a grid paper that has a 5x5 grid pattern, we would need to type in the inch increment of 60 inches. We type in 60 inches, we click on the grid color, and we drag the opacity slider bar to be a little bit darker so we can see the grid. Once we click OK, your grid paper will present itself, so that way you can now use this for measuring if you did not have a set of plans to measure off of. The next drawing property we're going to cover is the HUD. The HUD stands for Heads Up Display. Now when you turn the HUD on, you'll notice that around your crosshair you're going to have this big box showing. Now this big box is showing because that's what the HUD is, and it's letting you know a little bit of information about what you're working with. If we were to click on a drawing tool, you'll notice here that the HUD is displaying the image that you're drawing with in the upper left hand corner. It's also letting you know the condition that you're drawing with in the bottom of the HUD. And in the upper right hand corner of the HUD, you'll notice that it tells you the style, so in this case it's an area, and it's going to give you a tape measure, and if you were measuring at an angle, it would also give you the degree of angle that you're working with. The next drawing property we're going to cover is snap. Once you turn snap on, if you have drawn any shapes on your image already, you will notice that as your mouse gets close to any of those points that you have already digitized, you'll start to get this little square, and you'll notice that the mouse is kind of snapping to those points. That's the functionality of snap. We're allowing you to snap to any previous point that you have digitized on your takeoff. The next drawing property you have the ability to use is Ortho. With Ortho, you'll notice that there is a drop-down arrow, and this allows you to change either the defaulted view to a custom view, and in the custom angle, with that custom angle, you can now type in whatever degree you want it to be measured by. In this case, I'm going to leave it on default. I'm going to turn Ortho on, and then once I start drawing, you'll notice that if I move my mouse pointer, it's not really, the crosshairs aren't really following it, and the reason being is because we're not hitting that 45-degree angle yet. As we start to get closer to that 45-degree angle, you'll notice that the line is shifting, all right? So this is how Ortho is going to work for you. If you're drawing and Ortho is not necessarily working for you, you can temporarily hold Control on your keyboard, and that will allow you to toggle Ortho off, so that way you can move the line wherever you would like. The next drawing property that we're going to talk about is Xray. Now you'll notice that there is a drop-down for Xray because there's an additional option as well. Now, Xray has two levels. The first level of Xray with the single left click is going to allow you to visually see through the fill pattern of an area condition. This is so that way you can see any information on your background image. If you click Xray again, you'll notice that the green bar turns to a bright green bar. When you have the bright green bar displayed, we're going to visually show you the background image, and we're going to go through lineal measurements, area measurements, and count measurements, so that way you don't miss anything on your background image. If you don't like Xray or don't want to use Xray, we do have an additional option for you. Click the drop-down arrow here, and you can use bleed through. Bleed through is simply changing the opacity level of the colors that are displayed on the shapes that you've drawn. So as I left click bleed through, you'll notice that the opacity here on my area has gotten a lot lighter than what it was before. So here we'll do that again. Here's X-ray. You can see that that's a nice vibrant pink. Now once we click bleed through, you can see that it's a lot duller in color. The next drawing property we have the ability to use is measurements. Once you turn measurements on, if you've already drawn a shape, you can click your select arrow and you can click on that shape, and we will visually show you on the screen the measurements that you are calculating for that shape. We're providing lineal footage for you around the perimeter, and if you zoom in, you'll see that we have the square footage displayed in the middle of that shape as well. The next drawing property we have is tape increment. Now tape increment is going to be very handy, especially as you're measuring. So if you notice, when you start to measure, we have a little tape measure down here at the bottom. And if you look there, as I start to measure, you'll notice that I'm getting 7/8 of an inch, 3/16, and I'm getting these fractional numbers. Now, if you don't want fractional numbers in your measurements, you can simply click the drop down for tape increment, and you can go choose the specific inch increment that you would like to measure by. You'll notice that we have 1/8 inch, 1 inch, 3 inch, 6 inch, and 12 inch by default. However, if you would like to type in a custom inch increment, you do have that capability here as well. Simply click custom and type in what you would like to see there. In this case, I have mine set to 3 inches, so when I turn it on, now if I start measuring, you'll notice that that tape measure down there in the bottom is jumping up by 3-inch intervals rather than showing me those fractional numbers. And finally, the last drawing property that we have the ability to use is performance. Now, when I click performance, this image is not a high resolution image, so it's really not going to show you anything in this case. However, if you are working with a high resolution image, and you can tell that down here at the bottom based on the dimensions that you're working with, my recommendation would be to select performance. Now, why would you want to select performance? Well, if you're noticing some slowness on the takeoff screen because of the high res image, we want to make sure that you can navigate and maneuver your takeoff screen with efficiency. So when you click on performance and you're viewing your image at a zoomed out view, it's going to downgrade the resolution a little bit, and it's going to make it look a little pixelated for you. Again, this is by design because we want you to be able to navigate the takeoff screen with speed and with ease. Now, as you zoom in with performance turned on, everything will start to get a lot more clear and a lot more detailed the closer you get to it. So this is going to allow you to go in and make sure that you don't miss anything as you're doing your takeoff, but still be able to work with that speed that you're wanting to see. If you have any additional questions about the drawing properties that we went over today, please give us a call on our tech support line and we would be happy to help you with any additional questions. Thank you very much and have a great day.